The first thing he became aware of was sound. A low, unsteady hum that vibrated through the floor and walls around him, like a giant machine was breathing in its sleep. His eyes snapped open, and the ceiling above him wasn't any ceiling he recognized. The panels were alien, smooth and curved, glowing faintly with strips of dim blue light that flickered as though deciding. The first thing he became aware of was sound. A low, unsteady hum that vibrated through the floor and walls around him, like a giant machine was breathing in its sleep. His eyes snapped open, and the ceiling above him wasn't any ceiling he recognized. The panels were alien, smooth and curved, glowing faintly with strips of dim blue light that flickered as though deciding whether to give up entirely. He sat up too quickly, his head spinning, and realized with no small degree of alarm that he was lying on a metallic floor, not in a bed, not in his apartment back on Earth, not even in anything that smelled remotely like safety. He pressed a palm to the floor, cold. The hum reverberated through his bones. He looked around the room, if it could be called that. A cramped chamber, no windows, walls traced with unreadable alien glyphs that pulsed like living veins. And most unnerving of all, the single door was sealed. He muttered, "Okay, not a dream, unless my dreams suddenly got a special effects budget." His throat was dry. He struggled to piece together the last memory before this. A trip home from work, a coffee, the faint sting of a sharp needle at his neck, then nothing. He touched the spot and found no mark. The door hissed suddenly, a whisper of hydraulics, and slid open. He scrambled back, hands braced against the floor, eyes wide. A figure stood framed in the doorway. Tall, graceful, humanoid, but not human. She stepped forward slowly, her movements fluid, controlled, like someone entering a dangerous enclosure. Her skin caught the failing blue lights and shimmered with a faint golden undertone, almost metallic. Her hair was long, midnight dark, and braided with threads of silver that gleamed faintly like starlight. And then he saw her ears, long, elegant, tapering upward like delicate blades. They stared at each other for a long moment. "Well," he said finally, "this is the weirdest Tinder date I've ever been on." Her expression didn't change, but her ears twitched as though they had a mind of their own. "Human," she said, her voice low, melodic, but edged with irritation. "Why are you here?" "Funny, I was going to ask you the same thing. One minute I was minding my own business, and the next, boom, I wake up in your, spaceship apartment." She frowned, and something in her posture tightened. She was scanning him, her eyes darting briefly to his clothes, simple earthwear, now wrinkled and dirty from the floor, and then to his hands, as if judging whether he was armed. He raised his palms. "Hey, no weapons, unless sarcasm counts, in which case you're in real danger." She blinked, and for the faintest fraction of a second, her mouth twitched as though suppressing a smile. But it vanished quickly. "This ship is damaged. Systems are failing. You should not be here." "Yeah, well, I didn't exactly buy a ticket." He stood, wobbling slightly. "So, unless you've got an express shuttle back to Earth button, I guess I'm stuck here." Her gaze hardened. "Stuck with me. Don't sound so thrilled." He sighed and glanced past her into the corridor. The walls out there glowed faintly, alive with the same glyphs, but some flickered weakly, sputtering like broken neon signs. A faint mist seeped along the floor, and the hum of engines, or what was left of them, beat faintly through the ship. He stepped out cautiously, peering down the corridor. "So, are we talking abandoned ghost ship here, or did I interrupt your vacation?" She ignored his question and walked ahead, her long strides graceful and precise. He trailed after her, glancing nervously at every flickering light and random hiss of steam. The silence stretched until he said, "Do you have a name, or should I just keep calling you Space Elf?" Her ears flicked sharply. "Do not call me that." "Noted, but seriously, name." She stopped, turned, and looked at him with eyes like polished obsidian. "Lyra." He nodded. "Lyra, nice, rolls off the tongue. I'm Daniel, but you can call me Dan, or Danny, or, you know, the extremely lost human who's ruining your day. Whatever works." Her stare lingered, unblinking. Then she turned away without responding. As they moved deeper into the ship, the corridors grew darker, lit only by weak emergency strips along the ceiling. They passed a viewing port and Daniel's breath caught. Stars, endless, sharp, brilliant, no Earth, no moon, no familiar constellations, just the cold infinity of space stretching in every direction. His stomach dropped. "Well," he muttered, "that explains the lack of Uber rides home." Lyra glanced at him. "Your humor will not sustain you. The air recyclers are failing. We will suffocate within 3 cycles if repairs are not made." Daniel blinked. 3 cycles? You mean like 3 hours? 3 days? He relaxed slightly, then grinned weakly. "Okay, plenty of time. I've been on worse first dates." Her ears twitched again, betraying some emotion she refused to show on her face. They turned another corner and entered what must have been the control deck. The room was half ruined, panels sparking, a holographic console flickering with alien symbols Daniel couldn't hope to read. Lyra stepped up to it immediately, her hands gliding over the controls. Daniel leaned beside her, pretending to study the display. "Ah yes, classic, squiggly alien hieroglyphs. Obviously it says, 'Press here to fix everything.'" He poked a random glowing symbol with his finger. The console sparked violently and he yelped, jerking his hand back. Lyra gave him a look so sharp it could have cut metal. "Okay, okay," he said quickly, shaking his hand. Note to self, don't touch the glowy death buttons. For the first time, she exhaled a short, sharp sound that might have been a laugh. She quickly masked it, her face returning to its composed mask, but Daniel caught it. "Well, progress," he said, grinning. "I made the space elf laugh." Her ears twitched again, this time more violently. "If you call me that again, I will eject you from the airlock." He lifted his hands in mock surrender. "Point taken. Lyra it is." As she worked on the console, Daniel gazed out at the stars again, the enormity of the situation pressing against his mind. He was alone, lost, stranded on a failing alien ship with a stranger who barely tolerated him. And yet, despite the fear, the flicker of humor between them made the void feel just a little less crushing. Daniel woke up to the sound of something hissing. For a heart-stopping moment, he thought it was a leak, that the ship had decided to vent him straight into space without so much as a goodbye. He bolted upright from where he'd collapsed on the cold floor, blinking blearily at the dim blue glow around him. The hiss continued, steady and soft. He craned his neck and realized it was coming from the far side of the chamber, where Lyra knelt in front of an open panel, a coil of tubing in her hands. She glanced at him over her shoulder. "You snore." He blinked. "What, I do not." "Your noise echoed in the corridors. I considered smothering you." He rubbed his face, muttering, "Well, good morning to you too," and tried to push himself upright. His back ached from sleeping on bare metal. "So what's the verdict? Are we fixed, or are we still scheduled for death by suffocation in 3 days?" Lyra's long fingers adjusted something in the panel. "The recyclers are compromised. Oxygen production is reduced by 29%. In human terms." Her ears flicked as she gave him a look. "Breathe less." He grinned despite himself. "Great advice. I'll just stop inhaling completely, problem solved." She didn't answer, but he swore the corners of her mouth almost twitched. Almost. He stood, stretched, and wandered toward the open panel, peering over her shoulder. The alien machinery looked like someone had crammed glowing glass veins into a nest of wires and then glued it together with pulsating crystal shards. It hummed faintly as though annoyed. Daniel leaned in, squinting. "You know, back on Earth we have a thing called duct tape. Fixes everything. You got that. Your primitive adhesives would not survive depressurization," she said flatly. "Primitive. Hey, duct tape held my cousin's car bumper together for 5 years. That's practically advanced engineering." Her ears twitched again, a telltale sign he was learning to recognize. Irritation mixed with the faintest shimmer of amusement. She replaced the tubing with a decisive snap, closed the panel and stood. "We must ration the food supply." "Oh boy," he rubbed his hands together. "What's on the menu? Space steaks, cosmic burgers." She crossed the room to a storage unit and opened it. Inside sat a tray of translucent packages, glowing faintly with shifting colors like edible lava lamps. Daniel stared. That looks radioactive. Lyra plucked one and tore the seal open. Inside was a gelatinous cube that jiggled on its own, giving off a faint hum. She bit into it without hesitation. Daniel made a face. You just ate that like it was a gummy bear. I'm terrified. She chewed, swallowed, and offered him one. Nutrient-dense, sufficient for survival. He hesitated, then poked the cube suspiciously. It jiggled in protest. You're sure this won't? You know, melt my organs or give me laser vision or something. Her ears flicked. Your organs will remain intact, your humor may not. Worth the risk, he said and bit into it. The taste hit instantly, sweet, salty, bitter, and sour all at once, like someone had put every flavor into a blender and dared him to enjoy it. His eyes watered. Oh God, that's illegal. That shouldn't be allowed. Lyra watched him with a calm, inscrutable expression as he gagged, then finally forced the cube down. He gasped for air. That's not food, that's a war crime. Her lips curved ever so slightly, just for an instant. You will eat one each cycle. One, try zero, I'd rather starve. Do you have chips, pizza, anything that doesn't taste like rainbow glue? She ignored him, resealing the storage. You will adapt. Or die dramatically, he muttered, clutching his stomach. They set off together down the corridor, Lyra leading with her precise, silent stride while Daniel shuffled behind, muttering complaints. The ship groaned around them, metal plates shifting, vents hissing as though the vessel itself resented their presence. Lights flickered overhead, casting strange shadows. They reached a sealed bulkhead door. Lyra tapped a sequence into the panel, and the door slid open with a reluctant moan, revealing a hydroponic bay. Daniel blinked at the sight, rows of alien plants glowing faintly, their leaves like shards of glass, roots suspended in shimmering fluid. Whoa, he breathed, it's like a rave in a jungle. Lyra moved between the rows, checking nutrient streams. The plants are compromised, some may still be edible. Daniel reached out toward a pulsing fruit the size of a melon. It glowed softly in his palm, warm to the touch. Edible, huh? This one looks friendly. He raised it toward his mouth. Lyra slapped it from his hand with lightning speed. Poisonous. Hey, a little warning next time before you karate chop the food out of my hands. He rubbed his palm, glaring. Your recklessness will kill you before the ship does. He sighed, and here I thought you'd protect me. She ignored him again, kneeling to examine a cluster of smaller plants with faint blue blossoms. These may sustain us. Daniel crouched beside her, watching the delicate flowers sway without wind. He plucked one cautiously and sniffed it. Smells like blueberries and socks, that's promising. Lyra's ears twitched. Consume. Ladies first, he said with mock gallantry, offering it to her. She plucked it from his hand, bit the blossom clean off, and chewed thoughtfully. Sufficient. Daniel sighed, resigned, and popped one into his mouth. The flavor exploded, sweet, floral, tangy. He blinked. Okay, not bad. Better than the rainbow glue cubes. Then you will eat these. He threw his hands up. Oh good, I get the gourmet menu now. As they collected edible blossoms into a container, the ship shuddered violently. The lights dimmed, then flared. Lyra froze, her ears pricking. The engines. Daniel glanced around nervously. Engines. Engines are important, right? Like, the keep us from spinning into a black hole, kind of important. She didn't answer. She bolted toward the corridor, Daniel stumbling after her. Wait, can't we just, I don't know, reboot it? Turn it off and on again. Works for my Wi-Fi. Her voice echoed back sharply. This is not Wi-Fi. They reached the engine chamber, where a mass of crystalline machinery pulsed erratically, energy arcs sparking across conduits. Daniel winced at the sight. That doesn't look healthy. Lyra was already at the console, hands moving fast. Sabotage, she muttered under her breath. Daniel's stomach tightened. Wait, sabotage, as in, someone did this on purpose. She didn't answer, focused entirely on stabilizing the readings. Sparks rained down, illuminating her sharp profile, the tension in her movements. Daniel swallowed. His voice came out shaky. So, not only are we stranded on a broken spaceship with poisonous snacks, but someone wanted it this way. The machinery groaned, lights flickering. Lyra muttered a curse in her own language, and for the first time Daniel heard real frustration crack her composure. "Great," he said faintly. "We're trapped in a sci-fi murder mystery, and I don't even get popcorn." Daniel had never been particularly fond of silence. Back on Earth, silence meant something was broken. Your car on the side of the road, your internet router refusing to cooperate, your date staring at you like you just said something unforgivable. On this ship, silence was worse. It pressed against his ears, a vacuum waiting to swallow him whole. The only sounds were the faint creak of stressed metal and the occasional sigh of recycled air struggling to keep them both alive. Lyra walked ahead, her stride as steady as ever, ears twitching at every vibration. Daniel shuffled behind, staring at the floor lights that glowed faintly beneath his boots like a trail of breadcrumbs. "So," he finally said, because silence had never been his friend, "is this the part where you tell me your people are secretly intergalactic assassins and I should be worried?" Her voice floated back, calm and cold. "If I were an assassin, you would already be dead." He grinned despite the knot in his stomach. "Well, that's reassuring. Remind me to put that on a greeting card. If I were an assassin, you'd already be dead. Love, Lyra." Hallmark would make a fortune. Her ears twitched, which he had learned by now was the alien equivalent of a sigh. They reached a sealed hatch, its surface cracked by some old impact. Lyra pressed her. Daniel had gotten used to the ship's constant hum, so when it faltered, dropping into an uneasy stutter like a heart skipping beats, his nerves shot into overdrive. He froze in the corridor, halfway through gnawing on one of the edible blue blossoms Lyra had grudgingly declared safe. The flower hung from his mouth as he glanced at her. Is it just me, or did the spaceship cough?" Lyra was already moving, her stride sharp and purposeful. "The power grid is unstable." Daniel jogged to catch up, petals falling from his lips. "Unstable? You mean like a nuclear reactor unstable, or more like my cousin Gary at family reunions?" She didn't answer, which meant the situation leaned closer to nuclear reactor. The control deck loomed ahead, its consoles flickering in frantic spasms of light. Glyphs danced erratically across the displays, alarms buzzing in a pitch that rattled Daniel's teeth. Lyra dove for the main console, her fingers flying across the alien symbols. Daniel hovered uselessly behind her. "So, anything I can do, hand you tools, offer emotional support. Crack jokes until the ship decides to stabilize out of pity." "Sit," she snapped, not even glancing at him. "Rude," he muttered, plopping into a half-broken chair. "I was going to say something heroic like, 'I'll protect you.' But fine, I'll just chill here like useless space cargo." The holographic projection above the console shimmered, resolving into a jagged pattern of signals, distorted voices, fragmented words, static crackling through alien syllables. Daniel frowned. "Wait, is that a distress call, or like an alien podcast?" Lyra tilted her head, concentrating. "A transmission, directed at us." Daniel's stomach twisted. "Okay, and is it the friendly welcome to the galaxy type, or the prepare to be vaporized type?" The distortion cleared enough for a phrase to cut through. The voice was metallic, distant, yet heavy with intent. "Do not restore engines. Remain adrift." Daniel's eyes widened. "Oh, great, that's definitely not the friendly type. Who sends a message like that? It's like someone calling to say, 'Hey, don't leave the haunted house, just stay there until you die.'" Lyra's hands tightened on the console. "They are watching us." He looked wildly around the room. Watching, as in like hidden cameras or telescopes or creepy psychic stalkers. "External." She stabbed a sequence into the controls and the main screen flickered to life, showing the endless scatter of stars. Then faintly a shadow moved among them, a ship, sleek and angular, drifting at the edge of visibility. Daniel choked. "You have got to be kidding me. We're being tailed by space pirates, evil scientists, galactic tax collectors. Lyra's voice was calm, but he could see the tension in her shoulders. They will attack if we attempt to move. He leaned closer to the screen, squinting. That thing looks like it has 10 times more guns than our sad little bucket. What's our defense? Sharp language, a well-timed sneeze. Silence, she said, adjusting the controls. I am thinking. Daniel threw up his hands. Oh sure, no pressure. Just come up with a genius plan while we're staring down a murder spaceship. Totally casual situation. The console sparked violently and Daniel yelped, leaping back. Okay. Note to self, don't lean on glowing buttons. I swear this ship hates me personally. Lyra ignored his theatrics, stabilizing the console with a few decisive keystrokes. The hum of the engines returned faintly, weak, but alive. We have partial control. He blinked. Partial. As in, we can limp away very slowly while the bad guys laugh at us. Enough to maneuver, she said. The shadow ship shifted, closing distance. A piercing signal blasted through the speakers. Remain where you are or be destroyed. Daniel clutched the back of her chair. Well, that's subtle. These guys clearly skipped diplomacy training. Lyra's hands flew faster. They are armed. Our only chance is to evade. Daniel's voice cracked. Evade? In asterisk this. This ship can barely keep the lights on. It's like trying to outrun a Ferrari in a shopping cart. She glanced at him, ears twitching, her eyes cold but steady. Then push the cart faster. He blinked, then burst out laughing despite himself. That's, honestly, the best pep talk I've ever gotten. The ship jolted, as Lyra engaged, what little thrust the engines could provide. Alarms wailed, the hull groaned, and the stars outside tilted crazily as they lurched into motion. The pursuing vessel responded instantly, lights igniting along its sleek frame. Energy blasts streaked past their viewport, scorching arcs of fire against the void. Daniel ducked instinctively, covering his head. Okay, nope, nope, nope. They're shooting at us. I did asterisk not sign up for space dodgeball. Strap in, Lyra barked. He scrambled to the nearest chair, fumbling with the alien harness until it finally snapped into place. If I die, I just want it on record that this is the worst vacation package ever sold. The ship pitched violently as Lyra executed a sudden dive, the view outside spinning into a whirl of starlight. The pursuing ship's blasts missed narrowly, explosions rippling across the darkness. Daniel's stomach lurched. I think I left my intestines back there. Lyra remained focused, her hands steady on the controls. They underestimate us. He barked a laugh. Us? Lady, I can't even read the exit signs on this thing. You're flying, I'm just screaming professionally. Another blast rattled the hull, lights flickering. Daniel flinched. Okay, new idea. Do you have like a cloaking device? Invisibility, a giant cosmic rug to hide under. Her ears flicked. No, but I have something better. He froze. Better than invisibility. Please tell me it's not a suicide mission, because I don't look good exploded. She slammed her palm onto a secondary console. Panels slid open across the walls, revealing rows of crystalline nodes. Energy surged through them, casting the room in blinding light. Daniel shielded his eyes. What is that? Lyra's lips curved into the faintest smile. A pulse wave. The nodes discharged at once, releasing a massive shockwave that rippled outward in shimmering rings. The pursuing ship faltered, its lights flickering as the wave struck. Daniel gawked. Holy, did we just EMP their faces? Temporarily, she said, already adjusting their course. The ship shuddered, groaning under the strain, but it lurched forward, leaving the stunned vessel behind. Daniel sagged in his chair, trembling but grinning wildly. Okay, okay, I take it back. Best vacation ever. Lyra's ears twitched, but her gaze remained locked on the stars ahead. We are not safe yet. Daniel laughed breathlessly. Yeah, but we're not dead, which, considering my track record, is basically a miracle. For the first time, she let out a short, quiet laugh, a sound so rare he almost doubted it. But it was real. And somehow in that moment, Daniel thought maybe, just maybe, he could survive this after all. Daniel had never been this tired in his life. His body ached from being tossed around by malfunctioning gravity. His stomach was permanently scarred by alien rations that tasted like crimes against humanity, and his nerves were shredded from dodging laser fire. And yet somehow, sitting strapped in the cracked chair beside Lyra, he felt alive. The ship's hum had steadied, though faint. Outside the viewport, stars drifted past at an agonizingly slow pace, proof that Lyra had coaxed just enough thrust to limp them forward. They were safe for the moment. Daniel tilted his head back, exhaling. So, escaped homicidal stalker ship, still low on air, trapped with a gorgeous alien who alternates between saving my life and threatening to eject me. Honestly, this might be my best week ever. Lyra glanced at him, ears twitching in that way that now felt familiar, almost comforting. You have a strange definition of fortune. Hey, perspective. Most humans spend their week filing paperwork and eating stale sandwiches. Me, I get space battles, sabotage mysteries, and he waved vaguely at her. Company. Her eyes lingered on him a moment longer than usual before returning to the console. We cannot escape them forever. They will recover. Daniel groaned. Right, the universe just can't give me a break. He leaned forward. So who are they? You keep dodging that question. Who wants us floating like sitting ducks? Her hand stilled on the console. Not us, me. The words hung heavy. Daniel blinked. Wait, just you. What, did you skip paying your intergalactic parking tickets? She didn't rise to the joke. I was part of a mission classified. My people wanted knowledge, weapons, power. The crew on this ship disagreed. Someone destroyed the pods, sabotaged the engines, sent signals. I do not know who remains or who betrayed us, but they wanted me silenced. Daniel whistled softly. Well, that's bleak. Then he smiled faintly. But hey, silver lining. If they wanted you dead, and you're not, that means you're annoyingly good at surviving. I like that in a travel companion. Her ears flicked. You make light of everything. Only way I cope. Otherwise, I'd be curled up in the corner crying. He leaned back. Besides, if they wanted you silenced, joke's on them. You've spent most of this trip telling me to shut up. For the first time, she laughed softly, genuine. It startled him almost as much as the attack earlier. Before he could bask in the moment, the console blared with new readings. A transmission, clearer than before. Surrender. You will not escape. Daniel scowled. These guys need new material. Same speech, different day. He rubbed his face. Okay, I vote we don't surrender, unless they're offering free pizza, in which case, let's talk. Lyra ignored him, scanning the data. They are locking onto us. Our pulse wave cannot be repeated. The nodes are drained. He swallowed, so plan B. Her gaze was steady. We finish what they began. We make the ship explode. Daniel blinked. I'm sorry, what now? Did you just suggest mutual destruction? Because I was hoping for more of a live